thought. A couple of years ago, in May, I had the chance to visit a little town in Poland. Little town, Oświęcim. Oświęcim, it translates into Auschwitz. Spent the day, I didn't talk. I didn't say a word the whole day. Didn't talk. At its peak, it housed 100,000 people. At its peak, they killed 15,000 a day. There's a train track that comes into the middle of this compound and splits into two. And at the end, there are two crematoriums, 2,000 people in each at the same time. And I went into one cell, block 13. And there's a cell there, and I didn't know enough about this story, but there's a block there, and one guy, famous guy, lived there. Well, he died in that cell. When he was born, he was Raymond, little Raymond, born in Poland. Zdumskawola. There's not a lot of vowels in Polish. And he was born in this little town. He was born Raymond. At the age of 12, he has this dream that Mary comes to him and says, I've got two crowns, a red one, a white one. The red means you'll be a martyr. The white means you'll live a perfect, pure life. Which one do you want? What are you looking for? Right? She says to him, what are you looking for? Which one? I mean, I think neither. That's like God saying, what are you looking for? Which crown do you take? And at 12, in his dream, he says, I'll take them both. I'll take them both. Raymond grows up to become a priest, grows up to open a monastery, the biggest one in Poland, grows up to open a monastery in Japan, in a little town called Nagasaki. And he puts it on the opposite side of the mountain that all the Japanese told him to use. That's the side of the mountain that wasn't affected when we dropped the bomb there. So his monastery is still there, still the biggest monastery. He got his radio license, built the biggest newspaper in Poland. The Nazi occupation comes, and he hides 2,000 Jewish people in his monastery. They bring him to Oświęcim, to Auschwitz. And he's there. He's almost 50 years old. One day, one person escapes from his cell. About 400 men in his cell, in his block. One person escapes. And they did what they did. They rounded everybody up. 400 of you line up. They line up, and they said, we're going to pick 10, and those 10 people will starve to death unless this one comes back. They taught him a lesson. They line them up. They line up all 400. They start picking the 10. And they wouldn't really starve to death. Usually by day 3, their brains were frying from the lack of water. Some of the people that would watch those cells would go and they'd say there's never anything in the urinals because they were completely dehydrated. If there was anything, they would drink it. The line is there. And a guy named Tadeusz is in the 4th row. They start pulling out the people. They pull out this guy, this guy, this guy. They pull out a guy, his name is Franciszek. He comes to the front and he screams out, my wife, my children. He had 2 young children. He was married. He says, my wife, my children. And you didn't say anything to the person running the camp. You just didn't. Well, Tadeusz is in the 4th row, and he feels a rustling behind him. Raymond, who by that time had changed his name to Maximilian Maria Kolbe, walks through the crowd, and he says, take me instead. Take me instead. He says, I'm old, I'm a priest. He's young, he's got a family. And the commander of this camp says, Bist du verrückt? Are you nuts? Are you mad? Are you crazy? Just stares at him. And most people are thinking they're going to kill them both. They're not going to let this guy dictate what happens here. They don't do that. But this commander says, and he lets Franciszek go back to the row. 10 people in the cell. 10 days later, Kolbe's the only one still alive. They come in and say, we need the cell. They inject him with carbolic acid. He's praying, puts his hand up, lets him inject him. August 14th. August 14th. The next day he was cremated, August 15th. It's a special day in the church for Mary, who he had taken his second name after. He said, take me. He said, take me. I share this with you because what you do so often, I think the Cardinal said it best. You go in and you don't know who's there. He had never met Franciszek before. Franciszek would go to Auschwitz every year for the next 70 years of his life on August 14th to say thank you to Maximilian Kolbe. I share this with you to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. You go in and you say, I got it. I'll sacrifice me. I'll sacrifice my life. I'll sacrifice what I could have done. Here you go. You got it. So thank you so much for that. What are you looking for? God bless you. Thank you for the chance to be here.
Thank you, John. You're making it easier to be up here. First the Cardinal, then you.